نحمده ونصلي ونسلم على رسوله النبي الكريم الأمين الرؤوف الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Dr. Khairat Hassan Nirisa, dear professors from other renowned universities, representatives, teachers, staff members, and all respected guests and my sisters in Islam. I would like to say a few words. First of all, I was thinking while sitting over there that should I stand over here or here? Because the topic is that whether the crisis develop nation or not. I have my own viewpoint, but I would rather like to stand in the middle. Because my viewpoint is, if the nation, it is true, it is a fact, it is a declared phenomena in the holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in Quran, it's a declared phenomena in the hadith of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then it's been established by the Prophet of Peace, the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we have no doubt about this, that yes, the crisis can develop the nation if the nation is following the footstep of Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is a fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared this fact and kept it in the nature of human being, and told us by the ayah of Allah, of Quran, that كَيْفَ تَكْفُرُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَكُنْتُمْ أَمْوَاتًا فَأَحْيَاكُمْ. That you were dead and nobody knew you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gave you and developed you, and He rose you, and He shifted you, transferred you from one stage to another stage. That the transference from one stage to another stage and progressing towards the success is a great example which is being kept in the human life, in the human body, in the development, biological development of human being. How the cells, they are dead, and how then they are regenerated, and then they are converted into a new cells, and how the human body develops into a new body, and how the world and its systems, it keeps on changing and changing, and giving us a great example to understand that if the system of the world is following the true example of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it is fully submissive to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commands, then it does change, then it does move towards the success and towards the glory and towards the greatness. I would like to give one example here. At the time in the Arabic Peninsula, there was a time of crisis where in the state, in the place of Yathrib, so-called, and it was later converted into Medina, that nation which was living as the citizen of Yathrib, they were really facing a terrible time in their society. The society was totally, terribly disintegrated. There were the examples of bloodshed, the battles between the two important tribes of S.A.W. One of them was Aus and the second of them was Khazraj. And there was a continuous chain of crises and battles and bloodsheds and killings. And that was given a title of Battle of Boas. At the time when they didn't have any way out to find a solution of their crisis and look for a glorious time to come to establish their nation, they kept on moving towards Mecca. And some people from the tribe, belonging from the tribe of Aus, and some representative of Khazraj, they finally made their way towards Mecca. And they found the Prophet of peace, the Prophet of Islam. He has already declared the message of Islam. He was propagating the message of Islam. He was declaring the peaceful message of Islam at the time. And that group representing the community of Medina, when they met the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the place called Aqaba, Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was there as a messenger of Islam, as the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He found the community from Medina. He was aware of the political situation, of the internal situation, of the internal crisis of the nation. And he gave the peaceful message of unity and integrity. When they really came to know that here is the message of Islam, here is the leadership, here is the someone who can give us, who can deliver us to unite the nation. Then they became the ambassador of Prophet of Islam. And finally, when Holy Prophet ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, established the state of Medina, and gave for the first time in the entire history the written constitution. And under that written constitution, the great state of Islam was established. At the time when the surroundings of the Arabic Peninsula had already experienced different civilization, the clash of civilizations, the collapse of civilizations, the downfalls of different civilizations, gave a knowledge and gave the observation and gave a concept and a political concept and a political birth for the Islamic State to be established in Medina. There was the Roman civilization, there was a Persian civilization, there was a Chinese civilization, there were the Greek civilization, there were all the civilizations, they had their glorious time. And when the Muslim state of Medina was being established, they all had already experienced the collapse of different civilizations, the reasons of their collapse, the reason of their decline, and the reason of their downfall. And the Prophet of Islam, that was his political philosophy, that was his vision, which actually ended up in the form of the establishment of a great peaceful society where there wasn't any concept of demoralization, there wasn't any concept of assimilation, there wasn't any concept of disintegration, and there was the only concept of the morality, human being, human society, and the love, peace, integrity was developed in their society. I would further like to go into the history. Then the Muslims, rulers, they kept on establishing and developing the nation and the Muslim state kept on developing and growing and growing. And there was a time when it was a glorious time in the history for Muslims, for the Muslim states, for the caliphate. But around 500 to 600 century Hijri, when another great crisis came in the history of Muslims, caliphate, when the Tatarites, when they kept on attacking the Muslim states, non-Muslims and the Muslim states. It was a great time of crisis when the Muslim states were demoralized, when they were broken into pieces once again. They were looking for a leadership, and the Muslims' last caliphate was declining, was facing a huge downfall and a decline. And the Baghdad, the headquarters of Muslim caliphate, was facing a great downfall. There was nobody to give them a shelter. There wasn't any leadership. There wasn't anybody to save them, secure them, show them the path of peace and successful life. At that time, it was a great crisis. And here I would like to quote that there was only one person, so-called a slave, and his name was Bibars. And Bibars was the only slave and living in the Egyptian society. And the Egypt was under a great threat. The Sham, the Syrian caliphate, the Syrian rule was under a great threat, as well as the Baghdad, the rule in Baghdad was in great threat, and the Muslim rule was in a great threat. And they were coming as a power and affecting everybody coming in the way. At the time that a young slave stood up and he gave the concept of unity, integrity, morality, peace, full agenda was given by him. And that agenda resulted into a unity of the nation. Once again, the declining Muslim ummah was given another shelter and a support and peaceful umbrella under the shelter and leadership of a slave guy. And the question is how he managed to bring about a radical change and a revolutionary change and a great change in the history of the Muslim society. The only point was that he united the nation and he eliminated all kind of corruption from the society. And the third point was he gave a single point agenda to the society. That was the respect to the life, that was the respect to the religion, that was the respect to the glorious peace, that was the respect to the holy book of Allah. Then we move on further. I would like to give another example from other societies. We know about the Germany, and we have discussed a lot, we have heard a lot, and we have read a lot about the ancient histories, about the modern development. And I myself is the student of constitutional law. And I'm doing my PhD in the modern constitution and the Islamic constitutions. And doing the comparative study between the Islamic constitution and the Constitution of America, Great Britain, and the European Constitution, and in fact the constitutions of the world. During the First World War, when the German land was being distributed among the European countries, it was a great downfall for the Germans. They were badly defeated by the European countries, by a big alliance that their enemies were uniting together against a one power. And that resulted into a decline and fall of the German power. When they were being scattered, and defeated by the European power, there was only one guy. He started giving a lesson of unity. He talked about the self-respect I don't want to name him, but you can understand that he gave the concept. That was a Hitler. Maybe the history doesn't take him as a good name, but there are always some good points to be learned from the history. That what he did, he gave the lesson of the self-respect to the society at the time when they were badly defeated by the European powers. He said, "Oh, my nation, oh, the people." And he was just a soldier. He was just an army officer. And he was talking about the self-respect of the nation. He said, we should not sell our self-respect. If we talk about the self-respect, we'll be able to save this nation and a country. As a result of this philosophical idea, he was put into a jail. And he didn't stop himself. He wrote a historic book on the topic of self-respect. And he targeted the heart of the people, the mind of the intellectual of the time. And he kept on targeting the intellectuals, the academicians, the thinkers, the philosophers, and the nation and the masses at the time. And his book resulted into a great revolution, and which resulted into the glory and into the history repeated itself, where they were getting scattered, where they were facing a great defeat. And then another time came, the Hitler was the leader and the Germany was ruling over the world. You move towards the French Revolution. The Napoleon said that there was a time when the crown was being played as a football. Nobody knew about any respect. The society was being treated as nobody, badly treated, no respect for the king, for the crown, for the laurel. They required a leadership. They required somebody who can unite them together, give them the self-respect, give them the agenda for the society, and put them together and take them along towards the path of success and glory. And then there was a time in China when the Chinese society was facing a great dilemma of corruption. I'm giving you some tips why the societies face the crisis and what are the reasons the society can be developed into a great nation. Then the Chinese people, they were facing a great crisis of corruption. There were two kinds of corruption. There was a monetary corruption, there was a political corruption, and the third was, it was a drug-based society. And there was only one leader. He was a Mao, who stood up and he took a radical decision and he announced the nation, if you want to grow as a strong nation and come out of your crisis, then you have to be behind me and I have to lead the nation with single-handed. There are some plus points, there are some negative points, but we understand from the positive points to build up our nation as a great nation. He eliminated this corruption by saying, I myself will tour around the society. And he brought about the agriculture reforms in the society, political reforms in the society. And he said, no corruption society has to be established here in China. He said, if I find even a single person making a corruption of a single penny, he would be treated as a capital punishment. He said there is no difference between the one who's done the corruption of million and the one who has done the corruption of 1 penny. The corruption in my mind is a single corruption. I don't divide between whether it's a millionaire corruption or it's a single penny corruption. Then, my dear audience, now where we stand as a society. We as a Pakistan, that society came into being with the name of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. The agenda was great. The manifesto was great. The leadership was great. The founder was great. But society is great. But unfortunately, the leaders haven't so far led the society towards the success. If we take into account, we'll come to know that we are facing the same problem in our society as was being faced by the Chinese, by the Japanese, by the Americans, by the Germans, by the French, by the other societies. And I talk about the ancient history. I've read to some extent, all the civilizations, from Hammurabi to Sumerites and other Ashurites and all the societies. They developed, but then they faced the decline because they didn't continue with their agenda. They gave a good agenda, but later on, in the luxurious life, in the enjoyment of life, in the luxurious lifestyle, they forgot everything. And Holy Prophet ﷺ, I gave a very good example of that. We say that crises do change the nation. They bring the radical change in the society if the nation is ready to bring a change in the society. It's a great hadith of Holy Prophet ﷺ, and I happened to come across that hadith of Holy Prophet ﷺ. The Holy Prophet ﷺ said at the time when the Muslim state, the first Islamic, peaceful, democratic, federatic unit of the government of the state of Medina was being established. And under my study, there were about 14 federatic units which were established under the leadership of Holy Prophet ﷺ in the state of Medina. 14 federatic units. We talk about the American Constitution, the British Constitution, the establishing societies, the civilizations of the world. But we forgot and we forget about the great change, the great system, the political system, the managerial system, the economic system, the administrative system, the foreign policies, the interior policies, external policies, which were established by the Prophet of Peace, the Prophet of Islam. It was for the first time a federatic unit based on 14 federatic units. It was a federatic form of government which was established under the leadership of Holy Prophet ﷺ. We talk about the American system. The Americans should know that there was a great system before them. It was the system of Islam. The British should know that there was a great system. There was a great political system, the managerial system, the managerial reforms, the administrative reforms, the economic reforms, the societal reforms, which were being established by the Prophet of Islam. They talk about their philosophies. They talk about the modern philosophies. They talk about the modern political philosophies. But I talk about the philosophy, the tools, the model which was established by the Prophet of Peace. Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "Halakal Kisra, wala Kisra ba'dahu, wa halakal Qaisar, wala Qaisara ba'dahu." At the time when the Islamic State was being established by Holy Prophet ﷺ, the Prophet of Islam ﷺ was giving a historic comments. And that was a vision, that was a foresightness of Holy Prophet ﷺ when he was saying to his great companions, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, he was saying, "Halakal Qaisara wala Qaisara ba'da." Just imagine and write it down. The time is going to come when the Kisra, the Persian Empire, is going to face a great decline. A time is going to come when the Roman Empire is going to face a great decline. Then the companion of Holy Prophet ﷺ asked, "O Prophet of Allah, what we will be doing at the time when they will be facing the crisis?" Holy Prophet ﷺ said in the same hadith, he says, "Summa latanfakanna amwaluhum ila sabilillah." then there will be the time for the glory of Islam. Islam will be defeating them and distributing their wealth and money among the have-nots, among the needy people of the society, and establish the great Islamic society, the great system, the great revolution all around the world, from east to west, from north to south. My dear audience, now we come back to our Pakistan. Unfortunately, we face the same crisis. We had the same crisis. We are facing the corruption. We are in the situation we don't see any institutional system in the country. There's no institution. I'm not talking about the academic institution. There are a lot of academicians, they established the institution. I'm talking about in the legal term. There's no institution in the country. The country is from right to left, from left to right, from east to west. It is full of corruption. And we unfortunately face every kind of corruption in this society. The bureaucracy is actually ruling over the country, and the politicians and the law-making authorities are there as the implementer. And the bureaucracy, those who are supposed to be the implementer of the constitution, of the laws, of the policies, they are there to make the policy and the law. And then we are facing such a great dilemma that society always have a single point agenda. They have a self-respect, they have a faith, they have a strong agenda, strong faith and determination and consistency which make the society together, and a peaceful concept, and the society which is based on peace, love and knowledge. This society can never be defeated. But we forgot the lesson that the knowledge means the knowledge of Quran. The knowledge means the knowledge of the Prophet of Islam. The knowledge means the righteous knowledge. The knowledge means to develop the society. Knowledge means to give the integrity to the society. And the knowledge means to establish the society. And the knowledge does not mean to demoralize the society. If we want to bring a radical change and get rid of this great crisis and dilemma the nation is facing at the time, we got to look for a leadership. The leadership is there, but we are unfortunate to find that for the nation. The leaders are there to change the nation. The manifesto is there, has to be there to change the nation. Our constitution, our nation has to look for the constitution which is provided by Holy Prophet ﷺ with the name of Quran and the Seerah of Holy Prophet ﷺ. That is the constitution that talks about the scientific knowledge, the economic knowledge, the advancement knowledge, the comparative study, the legal knowledge, the social sciences, the political sciences, the economic sciences, and all the sciences are provided by Islam. All the systems and the solution to all the crises, to all the problems, has been provided by the Quran and the Prophet of Islam. If we have the leader which follows the right step of Holy Prophet ﷺ, with the name of Hudur Shaykhul Islam, we got a leader, we got a leadership, we got a mind, we got a manifesto, and we got a constitution. But unfortunately, we are still not ready to bring a change in the society. In the end, I would like to say that it is a great debate, but unfortunately we have to think that we are a great nation, we are a great Muslim, and we have a duty to perform for the sake of Allah, for the sake of Rasulullah, and for the sake of our Iman, not for the sake of worldly leaders and the worldly politics and the worldly powers. Today, there was a time when Ibn Batariya, when Ibn Hasam, when the great scientists, when the great politicians, they brought a great change in the society. There was a time in Andalus, in Granada, in Cordoba, when the Muslims were enjoying the great time. The scientists were giving the policies. They were designing different sciences. They were establishing in different walk of life. And they were ruling over the world with the name of knowledge, not with the name of power. The power does not unite the nation, but the knowledge is able to unite the nation whenever it is rightly utilized and whenever it is utilized by the leader of the nation. I would like to thank again to the dear audience and teachers and thinkers and philosophers and professors and academicians that it's really a great time for us to give a thought to our mind, that get together and get ourselves united once again. Look for the leader who can deliver something for the nation, who can do something for the nation. Don't go for the old and orthodox concept of developing the nation. We need to bring a radical change to change this corrupt society and get rid of this great dilemma and crisis we all are facing in our society. May Allah help us, give us a strength, and give us a knowledge, and give us a transparent knowledge and transparent personality to follow the footsteps of Holy Prophet ﷺ and bring a radical change in the society for our Pakistan, for the best wishes and the best time to come for Pakistan. Wa ma alayna illa al-balagh. Allahu, 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 Allahu,
Truly he is the one, he has no father or son.